Hacking primer. We're finally going to get into what we just did, the hacking process, more formally. We just throw that in there to give you an idea, get you thinking, doing that type of stuff. Step 1, there they are for you. Plan and organize the project. What do? Get the client provided information, public archives, job postings, right? Non-intrusive target search. Start looking at email headers, bouncing email, that type of stuff, right? Intrusive, right, is what? Right here, scanning. Live system, open port, services, OS, enumeration, vulnerabilities, everything you just did. Yep. Then finally, you're going to go into remote target assessments with OS, network services, banners, identify vulnerabilities, exploit, and enumerate. Steps are designed to simulate the real what? Attackers. Okay? Methodology is also designed to avoid adverse consequences. Most important thing is right here. Can be tailored to suit the specific needs of each client. Step 1. Best way to organize projects is what? Checklist. That's what the OSTEM provides you, a nice checklist of things you need to do to test certain things. Cover at least all the information contained in the slides we're going to cover and anything you have based on the needs of the current project. Are you testing authenticated access as well as unauthenticated access? Are you testing a privileged user as well as a regular user, right? Additional things you might want to do as you prepare it. Getting supplemental documents attached at the back of the actual preparation checklist to tell you how you're going to go about getting the information. Who's your client point of contact? Who do you notify in case of an emergency, like you blow something up when you're testing? I mean, come on, when we're testing, can we blow something up legitimately? We may not want to, okay? But we could, right? There's always a chance we blow something up. So these are all processes we can do. Share it with the client so he has an understanding what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. Tell them up front if they've got a mainframe. If you're not a mainframe tester, you might have to outsource and bring somebody else in who is a mainframe tester. And there's a big demand out there for mainframe testers because there's a lot of mainframes still out there in the world. Yeah? Provide to each member of the assessment team so what? They know exactly what's going on in the project, but more importantly is you sign chunks. You're going to assign chunks to doing the actual test. And remember when we did the pen testing on the range and you were on the range? As a team, you did what? You identified all your live systems, deconflicted what was you and what was the target, and then you assigned targets to each individual team member. And then you all followed a checklist, which was the laminated sheet that Irvin has over here, that 9 steps of pen testing, and you followed that process down to the letter. You may not get everything you need, but at least get enough to proceed. Yeah? If you cross an ISP, this is tricky, and this is where I like to do the old jurisdiction test. You go back to the hotel room tonight, right? And you're getting ready, right? You're getting ready, and you're going to do what? Send email. So you connect to the hotel internet. You go to send email, and it fails. Well, you know, hotel, POP, post office protocol, port 110, but send email is SMTP, send in mail, right? Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. What port? 25. So what you do is you fire up Nmap and you check and see if port 25 is open. Is that legal? Good. Jurisdiction. You remember from forensics. Good. I'm glad. In the U.S., it's been declared it's equivalent to driving by and seeing if the windows are open in a building. Therefore, that is legal. But if you start interacting and trying to go into the port, that's illegal. Now you're over in London, right? Made a trip over to London.
It's illegal.
Yep, illegal. Any port scan or anything like that's illegal. Now, having enough knowledge about this, though, could I just look at one port and ever know I'm only looking at one port? Nope. So we know ways around the legalities of it, but what did we say yesterday? Hackers don't have to follow the rules. We do. Okay? If you deem a vulnerability critical, blank password, wide open doors, who do you notify? What's one thing you never do as a tester? Modify what? The client's configuration, right? Who's on the projects and what's their role? Is it black box, gray box, or white box? Black box is what type of test? External, right? Black box being you get usually the domain name and nothing else. True black box. Okay? White box is you're inside and they give you a little bit of everything. Gray box is a hybrid approach where they give you a domain name, maybe a list of servers, that type of stuff. That's the most common one. What's the schedule? Do you test until done? Key milestones and dates, when you're going to meet, how often you're going to meet. Yep. How you allocate resources to get the job done without going over budget. We always got a budget on these things. Create and keep a contingency fund to cover any surprises. Track resources in dollars or hours. Dollars when you communicate with the client because they want to know dollars, euros, or pounds because, of course, this is international. Hours when you communicate with your staff. Written permission. Say it again. Written permission from whom? CIO or above, I like, but at least some manager or department guy that's in control. Because remember, what's the difference between an ethical hacker and a malicious hacker? Authorization and permission. The tools, everything's the same. So a good thing to remember is you're walking a fine line, and that fine line is you're that close to being a criminal. Don't be a criminal. There's plenty of testers out there, Max Vision's the famous one, that went beyond that line and now went to jail. Spent 5 years in prison. Routers, firewalls, IDSs, who owns it? Does the client own it? A lot of people outsource today. Was doing a test, in Scotland. Was testing and found out that their outsourcing group had registered their domain in all the different for the countries. So DE, Germany, and all this other type of stuff. The client didn't even know. They thought it was only in the UK. They didn't know it was in all these other countries registered. Ended up, they were pointers in most cases just to records and address records and DNS, but still, those are the types of things that outsourcing people do, and sometimes they don't tell the client. And as testers, we better find that because we notify the client, right? What's our job as testers? Go in, do the best we can based on our knowledge and skill set, following a repeatable process and methodology, and improve their security process. That's what we want to always do with our clients is improve their security process. Targets. How many targets is enough? Talk to your client. Know their expectations. They always want more. We always try to say, hey, give us more time. It's a balancing act. Many factors to consider. How much you're going to test them. Are you going to sample them? Are you going to go all the way up through layer 7 and test applications on every box? Those types of things. Time and resources, of course, staff availability yours, and also the clients if you're working with them on like a blue team test where you're helping and assisting and working inside with them. When are we going to do it? Welcome to the world of the vampire. Midnight to 7 in the morning. Rarely people want you to do this during regular hours. Why? Because people's there working during regular hours and things can bust and blow up. Where are you allowed or not allowed to test? Application tests, you usually want to properly bound them, maybe on a test environment to make sure no application test is going to implement a production database, for instance. Testing for some financial groups and stock markets, stuff like that. When you test for them, they don't let you mess with their financial databases. Of course not. The Oracle DBAs and everybody else will kill you. They give you a sample database, and that's what you get. That's the client's decision, not ours. But we're the expert. We analyze the factors, we make our decision, but we respect what the client does with it. All we do as a consultant is recommend, remember? I've had more than once. We get done with a test, and you're going to do the presentation. If you're lucky, they're pretty nice, and sometimes they're not. And I've had them tell me, just walk through the door. We've read everything, the preliminaries. We've seen enough. Just go ahead and leave. We've got enough, and we'll deal with it accordingly.